Hello everybody, Shrouded Hand here. So I don't know if you can tell from my voice, but I'm currently suffering from a terrible case of man flu, so I thought instead of making a proper video this week, I'd just do a nice easy lazy one where I just talk about something that happened to me and a friend of mine about 9 or 10 years ago. So I've actually got a log for these events that happened on the 23rd of July 2010. I know this because it involves a geocache. So if people don't know what a geocache is, basically people will go out and hide a waterproof container somewhere. Usually it's in some woods or some part of the countryside, and you use your phone or some other satellite navigation device to go and find the coordinates for this container. It usually takes you to within 20 feet of this object, and you've got to find it. It's a bit of a treasure hunt, and then once you find it, you write your name on a bit of paper inside the container to prove that you've been there and that you found it. And then when you get home, you go on to the geocache page online and write a report on there about how you found it or didn't find it or what happens here. It's usually a bit of an adventure. Usually it's put in an interesting place that's quite hard to get to, and it's kind of a bit of fun. But anyway, there was this one that was near to where my friend lived at the time. He lived up at a place called Burnetfield, which is just up the road from me, and there's a place called Chopwell Woods. This geocache involved going into the woods in the night and using a torch to shine around the trees. There would be reflectors in the trees that would shine back. So you would shine your torch, you would find the reflector, you would go in that direction, and then once you'd got to that reflector, you'd shine the torch again, and basically it would lead you on a path through the woods in the dark, but you could only do it at night because the reflectors wouldn't work in the daytime. So me and my friend went to these woods, middle of the night, it was very dark, and we start shining our torches around, and we can't see any of these reflectors. And we are just walking around and around these woods, deeper and deeper into these woods, just looking around for these reflectors. There's absolutely no sign of anything. And after a little while of walking through into these woods, and they're not very deep woods, but it's easy to get lost in there, especially in the night time. And all the time, my friend's also telling me about how he's heard rumours of things like witchcrafts and devil worshippers and things being seen in these woods. I don't know where he heard these stories, but he's telling me it, and we're all getting a little bit spooked out, but nothing too bad. And we keep going deeper in, and eventually we get to a weird clearing, and there's a tree right in the middle of it, and we noticed hung up on the branches is 2 animal skulls. I don't know what animals they were. I think they might have been small fox skulls or something like that. There were 2 small mammals hung up on the branches, very purposefully put there. So we're stood there, we're looking at these skulls, and we're just thinking, what the hell? Is this something to do with the geocache, or is this somebody messing with this, or what? This is kind of when the atmosphere starts to change for us. It starts to get a little bit more creepy. And we end up walking around the woods a bit more, a bit deeper in. And then we find 2 makeshift shelters in different parts of the woods. And they're not like these little... I've seen when kids make little lean-to shelters in the woods by sticking some branches up against a tree and putting some leaves over it or something. These were quite well constructed. I mean, they're probably some kind of bushcraft construction, but they looked like they'd been made for sleeping in for multiple nights. They looked a bit more permanent than the usual makeshift shelter. And there was a bed of pine needles underneath them, which looked sort of well slept on. And these were in 2 separate locations of the woods that we found them. I don't really know what they were doing there, but we just got this real sense that someone was living in the woods there, and we just wondered, are they in the woods watching us? Because we would have come into these woods all lit up, shining our torches all over the place, so anyone in there would have seen us from miles away. I don't know what it was. We found the skulls, then we found the shelters, and we just started to get a strange feeling there's something going on in these woods. There's something in here with us. And I know bushcrafters will go and build little shelters in the woods, but these looked well lived in, is the only way I can describe them. They looked as if someone had built them and was occupying them on a regular basis. So we didn't find the reflectors, we didn't find the geocache. We gave up after I'd say we were walking around for about an hour. And we got out of there. And I've got the log. The log is on the geocache page. You can go on there and look and find it. Obviously, my username on there is not Shrouded Hand because I didn't have the channel back in 2010. You might think the skulls and things were placed there just to mess with people who were gone searching for geocaches, but we actually went back there a year later And this time we actually found the right trail, we found the reflectors, we found the geocache, and it was in a completely different part of the woods. It was nowhere near where we'd seen the skulls and the weird shelters. So this wasn't any kind of thing that someone had done deliberately to mess with geocaches, because you would have had to go completely off in the wrong direction, deep into the woods to find this strange place. So what the hell was going on, we don't know. I've never really related that story on this channel because it's not that interesting. Like, we didn't really see anything. We didn't see any figures or any people. We didn't really experience anything too scary. It was just a bit of a weird experience. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because just last week I was sort of looking around online for places to go and explore up here, and I came across a channel called Deborah Hatwell. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her channel, but she does a lot of research into UK sightings of cryptids, a lot of Bigfoot sightings and dogmen sightings and things like that. And she's got a website and a Facebook page. Her website has a map of all the encounters with cryptids that people have reported to her. So you can go on there and look at a map of the UK and see all the places. And there's loads in the northeast that I noticed. She's also got a YouTube channel, and I was watching one of her videos about northeast encounters, and she read out this one. I'm going to read it out myself. It's off her channel. Let me just find it. Sorry, her name's Deborah Hatwell, not Hatwell. Got an S in it. My neighbour's just doing some building work next door, so you'll probably hear a lot of hammering. It's just started up, so I'm going to soldier on anyway. Okay, so this is off her website, and she was actually reading this out on one of her videos, and this is how I discovered it. But I'll read it out myself. I hope Debbie doesn't mind me reading out something off her website. It says, "Hi Debbie, hope you are well. I'm going to skip through. I grew up very close to Beamish Woods, and my parents also grew up in that area. There have always been legends and stories about creatures in those woods for as far back as I can remember. And the woods are also said to be haunted by the ghost of a grey lady. There have been many sightings of black panthers and even a werewolf on one occasion to my knowledge. Usually the story is spread by dog walkers in the early hours of the morning who are reporting these strange creatures. I would love to chat to some of these witnesses. If you are one of them or know one of them, please get in touch. I did have one experience near Chopwell Woods which was very strange. I used to have a hobby called geocaching. It's kind of like a giant treasure trail with secret containers hidden by people where they give you coordinates of the location and you have to find the treasures left there. My friend and I decided to do a very unique one which was designed to be done only at night for reasons which will become very clear. The little containers you had to find were hidden off the River Derwent Walk cycle track which goes between Consett and Newcastle. The containers had a reflective coating on them, so we had our torches and you would look for the tins by shining a torch and waiting for the container to reflect. As we were looking for one can in particular, which was set about 100 to 150 yards off the track, we both stopped dead in our tracks suddenly. We could both hear footsteps in the brush around us, and the footsteps were quite close to us. The noise stopped slightly after we stopped and stood still, so we knew it wasn't us making the noise, but we still passed it off as just being a deer or a fox or something like that. So we continued searching, but then it happened again, only about a minute later. So again we stopped, and a couple of seconds later it also stopped. We both then got a horrible feeling. I can only describe it as dread, like something bad was going to happen. We called out to see if anyone was there, but there was no answer. It all seemed too quiet and we were very uncomfortable staying in the area. After that we called it a night and stopped searching. Fear got the best of us. We headed back to the car and just got out of there. We still have no idea what it was that was moving around us, but it really didn't feel right. I've had the feeling of being watched before, but this is completely different. It felt like a warning. Have you heard of many other encounters from the area? Or could you give me some details of a researcher from the area? I'm really interested in learning more and maybe helping in some way if I can. So, and this page has many more reports from the same sort of area. Stanley, Chopwell, Beamish, that kind of area, the northeast of England. There's quite a lot of wooded areas around there. Oh my god, stop hammering please. So I don't know if that's the same geocache. It sounds a bit different. It sounds like it's in a slightly different area, but I didn't know of any other nighttime geocaches in the area, so I don't know. What I've done is I've contacted Deborah about the person who sent in that message to ask her to pass my details along to them. So I'll see if they get in touch with me. What I'd like to do is sort of check if that geocache was in the same place. They say Chopwell Woods, so it can't have been far away. Yeah, I think this is interesting starting point for something here. It's unusual that there's two people looking for nighttime geocaches in the same location got spooked by the feeling of something around them. At least they actually heard something moving around, and me and my friend just had this eerie feeling and saw some strange objects in the woods. But yeah, I thought that was a kind of a weird coincidence, a weird bit of synchronicity, and I just happened to come across her channel and saw a video where she was talking about this. But looking at her website, there's absolutely loads of like reports from this area. Like the Stanley area just seems to have loads of reports of like Bigfoot, Dogman type things. And I didn't realise until I found this website that there were so many sightings in the northeast of England. I knew there was a woods a bit further north that had a Bigfoot report, but there's loads around, just around where I live. It's absolutely crazy. So I think this would be a good starting point for something in the future. I think there might be quite a few people up in the northeast who are interested in this sort of thing, and I might be able to try and get some people together to try and go and do some investigations. I could at least put like a trail cam or something in one of these areas and see what I'd capture. Yeah, but if anyone's got any more information, please get in touch with me. I'll also put a link to Deborah Hatswell's website, her Facebook group and her YouTube channel, because they're all really good. They're like invaluable resources if you're interested in cryptids in the UK especially. So yeah, sorry if this video is a bit lazy. I guess this is all I've got the energy to do at the minute. It's kind of off the cuff. I'm just sort of talking about something that happened to me. And anyway, potential for future investigations, very interesting, and I will keep us updated. And now someone's started up a chainsaw. Yeah, I think it's probably time to end the video here, because I'm not going to get any peace today. So yeah, like I say, get in touch if you've got any information about the northeast area, or any encounters and sightings, especially around the Stanley, Burnetfield, Chopwell, Beamish area, that kind of general location. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.